This is the Committee of the Whole. This is Monday, April 4, 2016. We're at 6 p.m. I have Councilor Capone.
Here.
Councilor DeFlorio. Here. I have Councilor DePiero.
Here.
Councilor Healy.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Councilor Hagan.
Here.
Councilor Matusky.
Here.
I have Councilor McKinnon.
Here.
Councilor Napolitano.
Here.
And I have Councilor Smiley.
Hi.
We have 9 members present. We do have a communication.
Okay. The audience, please stand, salute the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. One announcement that Councilor Michael McLaughlin will be unable to attend due to a prior commitment, and Councilor Richard Delasola is unable to attend also to a prior commitment. Yes, Councilor.
Mr. President, before we speak, I just wanted to wish you a happy birthday today. Is it, I believe it's today?
It's the 11th.
I thought I saw the 4th on Facebook. I'm sorry.
we're rushing it.
unless Facebook-
We're rushing it a little
I think you
bit.
overstepped your, it's next week.
I thought, oh, I'm sorry, on my Facebook, I thought it said the 4th.
But thank you anyway. I appreciate it. Where's the cake? Next week, I'm expecting a cake.
You know how I know it's the 11th? It's by your birthday.
Mr. President, can we suspend the rules and take item number 2, please?
Motion made and second? Second to take item number 2. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Clerk will read item number 2.
Item number 2. This is a resolution offered by Councilor Michael
Right there,
Hagan that the mayor and the city solicitor appear at the next meeting to update the city council regards to the power plant situation.
Yes. Councilor Mangan?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to invite the mayor, Ms. Mahir, Mr. Hart, anybody that's pertinent, the attorneys up to speak. I don't, we can find out if we have to go into executive or not.
Would you folks please, you know what to do. Go ahead. Introduce yourselves.
Colleen Mejia, is it on? City Solicitor. I would advise that you make a motion to go into executive session where this falls under 2 items under the executive session exemption to the open meeting law, 1 property valuation and 2 potential litigation.
Okay. And would the other folks please identify yourself?
Bill Hart, Chairman of the Board of Assessors.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor?
Carlo Di Maria, Mayor.
Thank you.
Motion to excuse with the customary thanks and and go into executive session. Reconvene into executive
Hold
session.
on. Folks, excuse the customary thanks. Hang around. Motion is?
To move into executive session.
Invite the host.
And invite the mayor, city solicitor, and the
Mr.
assessor, and any attorneys that are available.
Second.
Okay.
If I could amend that?
Yes?
I'd like to amend that motion to specify the reasons for executive session were stated by our city solicitor, and that the intention of the body is to reconvene after executive session has been completed.
Thank you. Yes.
Also, could we have a recording of it and minutes taken from our secretary as well as our assistant city clerk?
You want them both at the meeting?
Yes.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of all of the above, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So, all opposed? Oh, I'm sorry, roll call, yes. Roll call.
All right, Councilor Capone.
Yes.
I got Councilor DeFlorio.
Yes.
I got Councilor DePiero.
Yes.
I got Councilor Healy. That's you.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yep. Councilor Hagan.
Yes.
I have Councilor Matusky.
Yes.
I have Councilor McKinnon.
Yes.
I have Councilor Napolitano.
Yes.
And I have Councilor Smiley.
Yeah.
We have 9 yeas.
9 yeas, you have passed the motion. We will reconvene in the back room, and for the audience that's here, we are going into executive session. We will be back. Okay.
Mr. President, make a motion that we take item number 3 off the calendar. Number 3? Oh, I'm sorry. Make a motion that we grant further time in committee.
Second motion. Further time?
In committee. Yes. Yes. Aye.
Item number 3. This is a resolution offered by Council McLaughlin and Leo McKinnon to have a representative from National Grid speak regarding the work being done on Ferry Street.
Could we have National Grid before us, please?
I'm Dan Cameron with National Grid with offices at 170 Medford Street in Malden.
And I'm Matthew Carmody from National Grid, 170 Medford Street, Malden.
Thank you. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Matt, for showing tonight. It's bad conditions outside. I apologize for that. But at the last meeting, we had, I believe it was a Public Safety Committee. Matt, you were there, and you testified before us at that committee. And there was numerous complaints of noise, engines revving, and all the stuff that's going to come along with this type of work. We understand, we get it, but we're hearing the complaints now. As the months go on, and they will, it's going to get nicer outside, the weather's going to get, better. What did we come up with for any solution to that problem?
Thank you for having me. So some of the solutions we came up with, we are working on expediting some of the part of the schedule. As we reviewed last week, 2 of the crews or 2 of the locations should be off nights when a little bit over a month. That will be right before the summer season, which was our goal. We brought in additional resources to really expedite the schedule. The one phase in the middle of the forge between Broadway and Pleasant View Ave, we're trying to make sure that we get all of our louder work done sooner than even 11 o'clock. We're doing the best we can. Obviously, all the equipment is loud, but obviously the breaking of the ground, we're trying to break that out in larger, quicker sections and then pave it and come back to it the following evening if need be. We're trying a few different things around it, but it's a tough job. It's going to be loud. It's loud equipment, but we're doing make sure we can with the larger, loudest equipment on site. It is off, done earlier in the evening than later, where we were getting the complaints.
Now, there was mention of maybe having a public meeting so that we could actually talk to the folks that are there that are being affected by this. What do you feel about that? I mean, did you guys already reach out to these people? Have you sent out letters or anything like that to the community where it's going to be impacted? To let them know about noise, number 1. Number 2, what the hours of operation would be. Number 3, I got a complaint right after that, the meeting that we had, and it was literally, I just walked through the door and the phone rang, and they said, well, what they're hearing is the revving up of the engines, warming it up, and then the work is being done down the street. Then they come back, and then they're dropping plates or whatever they're doing on the street where the work isn't being done, and they're just set up staging there. So how do we address that? I mean, there's a number of different issues that different people have here, and it's affecting quite a few people. So before it gets to the point where it's summer and the good weather's here, the windows will be open, everybody will be hearing everything. We'll be getting 50, 60 calls a night. I'm trying to see if we can reach out maybe to them or where it's going to be, the work's going to be, so that we can actually notify them. These are the hours, this is what's going to be happening. This is a contact person to call. You see what I'm saying? They call us anyway. But if we have a contact person that we can call that night and say, hey, guys, I'm getting complaints of this, how can we, probably tone it down maybe a little bit, or how can we, maybe keep to the hours that we're supposed to be in? You see what I'm saying? Just so that the people can feel that there's some type of relief out there, because right now they're not. So, and I understand you're under, you know, you have a timeline you have to be through, you have to do this work, and it has to get done. I understand that, I get it. But what I'd like to see is maybe just a little bit of cooperation with the neighborhoods, so that we can actually maintain, you know, some type of peace in the neighborhoods as well. So,
For your first question in terms of letters or reaching out to the community.
Sure.
For this project, we did two separate ways to do it. First is we did hand-delivered letters from our contractor.
Uh-huh.
On those letters, which were emailed to the city for them to have at all times, the reference has my personal work cell phone number for any person to call at any hour of the day. If I'm in a meeting, I always do call back. But it does have my cell phone number, not even just the office, the cell, for them to reach me directly if they have any questions or concerns.
Could you give that number now?
781.
Everyone's watching, that's why.
781-790-6062.
And it's Matt, right?
Matt Carmody.
Okay.
And then the second form is we at our headquarters mail out 3 separate letters. This gives them a step-by-step process of what they should expect, along with gives them links to the main replacement video that we made this year, along with the service replacement video, and it really explains the whole process and, you know, the other contacts they can reach out to if they're looking for a new service and such forth. So each customer is reached by 4 separate letters stating the hours, the hours where
Hours
they're
of
working.
operation?
Correct.
Okay.
And the step-by-step process of the work.
Now, maybe another reinforcement letter out there, maybe that it could be done that way. I'm looking for a suggestion that you might have to actually get this done, so that we can actually have these people be able to contact someone, say if it's 3 in the morning and they're hearing plates crashing and all kinds of stuff and equipment, and, you know, it's 3 in the morning. You know, you wouldn't want it done in front of your house, neither would I. So that's what I'm hearing.
We certainly understand that. What we can do is we'll break the letters down to a more precise range. We'll do it by every 2 weeks, every week, you know, where we'll work down the line.
Sure.
You know, where we'll be. We'll make sure we block by block.
Where are you
bring it in.
now?
We have 3 different crews in 3 different areas. Right
Yeah.
now, the one crew is right at Chute Street, intersection Chute and Ferry.
Sure.
The other crew is right in front of the high school.
Yeah.
And the other crew is down towards George Street.
Okay, so it's impacting a lot of different areas right now, so it's probably a lot of different calls that may be coming in or haven't begun yet, but they will,
And
in these different areas.
And
As
the-
a progressive, that's what I'm saying. So
Okay.
we may want to reach out to these people one more time, send them a letter, hours of operation, quiet times. You know, if we're staging up, we may want to stage up in a different area where we could probably stage up and then get to the area where you're going to actually be impacting. You know, because that's what the last call that I got was about staging. They come, they rev their engines, they do it for like a good 15, 20 minutes. I get it, you have to, just to warm it up, then get the trucks out of there, get them going where they gotta be. I get it. But then they're bringing them back and they're doing, you know, they're making more noise when they come back. And then, so these people are being affected twice, 2 different times. And they're not even having work done on the bottom of their street. It's 3 streets over. They can't hear the work being done because it's 3 streets over or whatever, but when they come back to stage, come back to put the trucks away, that's when they're starting to hear noise. That was the last complaint that I got. So, I mean, is there any way that we may be able to just move it along different areas, or is it only one certain staging area that you have?
We can certainly look into other options. Where we have this, especially for the larger portion of it with the 16-inch diameter steel, we haven't staged in the same area. We have moved twice down the street, but the road is so narrow, especially down towards the fire station in front of the high school.
Yeah.
That's the widest portion of the road. For us to condense and keep everything without affecting traffic flow, coning off a large section throughout the day, we try to pick the most ideal location.
Sure.
I have looked further down the street and it has become tougher for us to find a space that's that wide where we can have the excavator or the plates or the shoring box there without it affecting the daily flow of traffic and the residents and anyone. We will certainly review that again in the next 2 days, try to come up with another area, but we are just trying to find the less impact to everyone throughout the day.
Thank you. I'm going to
Councilor-
relinquish the floor.
Councilman Napolitano?
Thank you. The notifications that go out, are those strictly sent to Ferry Street residents?
So it's sent out to anyone who might be affected by the work within a certain range. It's mostly anyone whose service we might have to replace or whose work would be done in front of their homes. It also reaches any corner house, anyone that's, the work might still be in the general vicinity, to let them make them aware of the work. We tend to not make it too large a radius because then we get multiple additional phone calls asking when my service can be replaced even though the work is not directly affecting them. But we do reach out to any customer on the side streets, any corner house, and we do have a list of every resident that it was sent to.
Right. The reason I ask that is I'm actually one of the first houses on one of those corner streets. I'm on Cottage Street. And I remember last week, it was Wednesday and Thursday night, they were operating pile drivers. We weren't aware of it until things started vibrating off the shelves, and we noticed a continuous pattern of banging. We've never received any correspondence from National Grid at all regarding it. Now, as a city council, I'm aware of what's going on. As a resident, I see the signs, I see the work. But I'm the first house on the left on one of the affected streets where the work's being done. Our street's been cut off every evening to be able to detour traffic away from Ferry Street. We're also, impacted both in noise, vibrations. Noise is one thing. Severe vibrations, a house deep or off the main street, that's where we're feeling it. We're not getting any information. So I'm curious just to how far in, how the contact is being made, because there are other people besides direct abutters to Ferry Street and the corner houses that are feeling the impact of this.
So what I can certainly do is go back and review the list of every individual that it was sent to and the list that was provided to myself. I don't personally make up the letters. I mean, Devereaux, our contractor, I do review the hand-delivered letters, and those are more to the direct people impact. Then we have our general letters sent by headquarters, and Dan can speak on that behalf.
Yeah, Matt is correct in terms of who we do the mailings to when the project starts, but I understand what you're saying, and if you want, we can expand that. But we're not sure how far we should go. I guess we're looking for some input from you guys. And several houses in on every side street.
Well, I think at least one or two houses in would be helpful. As I said, in my case, it wasn't noise as much as severe vibration.
Yeah.
And at that point, I really needed to trust that the contractor who did the work on the room I was sitting in, which was an add-on, did his job right 10 years ago. But this is the thing. This is where it's more than that. When you start feeling or seeing things vibrating, or you're having to take stuff off the shelf, in an area where you wouldn't have felt as impacted, it's more than the noise. And then, in regards to the noise, as it gets warmer and windows start opening, it's going to even be an additional issue. So I just want to make sure that people are aware, at least a little deeper in than they are right now. And I hate to ask for the additional burden of making sure that information is dispersed, but communication is a big part of getting through these type of projects.
Okay.
Thank you. Any further questions? Hold on, yep. Councilor Matusky for Councilor Simonelli.
Mr. President, on behalf of Councilman Simonelli, let's see if I can read his handwriting.
10 minutes.
Why is National Grid and the city not getting together to inform the public on a day-to-day basis on when changes are being made, like traffic detours and other safety issues? Again, we need to use reverse 911. People need to be informed before the changes, not after the fact.
Do you mind if I follow up with a question? What exact changes are we asking about? Are they changes of location,
No,
progress
I think
throughout?
that what he's saying here is that he thinks neighborhoods, when you go to different areas, on Ferry Street, for instance, like this councilman just mentioned, maybe somebody should knock on a few doors. We're going to be blocking the street off, do some physical notification. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah. And after you're doing the work, it's a little kind of late. I mean, it's there. But if you let people know that they're going to be inconvenienced, I think that's what he's getting at. Before you block a street, maybe do a flyer to the homes and your street will be blocked off for the next couple days. The city does that for public events, you know, and maybe that's what you could kind of consider doing, you know?
How does the city do it? Through a posting on a website or?
Well, for instance, they put on poles, meters, signs, work will be done, going on from National Grid, such and such a date.
We do that, sir. We move the signs every night or every other night to a location that the work will be completed. That
You do
way,
it on side streets too?
any such street that any parking or anyone directly be reflected, they do move the signs. It might not be as much, you know, on the side streets, but as you see, our no parking signs, the metal ones, that way the weather doesn't affect it. The crew moves and the location that they will be working, so that way, you know, it's clear and all the residents are aware that's where work will be for
I
the
can
evening.
see, you know, I know it's his question, but 911, you don't have any control over that. But I personally see that you keep the machinery all right. I've never seen a contractor in this city do that before. You've got police details actually doing the traffic detail. They're there at each spot, which is very important for safety. And, you know, it looks professional to me. I mean, and the other question, if you don't mind, Mr. President, when is this job going to be completed? I know it's a lengthy thing, but I just want to get a rough idea.
Well, it really specifies on depends on the location. 2 of the 3, for one part, we're 33% of the main completion complete. That is the largest portion, which is the steel portion in the center of the job. The other 2 portions have a couple months left, but we'll be off
So
nights
you're
with
almost
them.
there.
Not for the center portion. The side, we're almost
The center
all
portion
main.
is Glendale Square?
The first portion is between, you know, Malden Line to Broadway. That
Right.
portion, we're going to stop a little bit short of the main installation to allow for us to transfer to the next, you know, phase of the
Okay,
work.
yeah.
But that is almost that's a month and a week, probably 5 weeks left of main installation. That'd be night work. We have been bringing extra crews in to do the crossings at the same time, so it won't affect residents hopefully as much once the main installation is completed. On the other portion between Pleasant View Ave down to the Chelsea Street has about a month left of installation. That will be the most of the night work, nights here and there, but then we can focus on the main connections and the service transfers. Some work will have to be performed during the evening for some of the laterals, but we can, you know, combine some of the crews, do that quickly. That way most of the work will be done during the day. Once we get a little bit closer, I do, you know, plan to sit down with, you know, Public Works Director of Public Works, the city engineer, review the plan for each location. Maybe I can give you guys a better update then. Obviously with the weather, we're a little bit set back again.
So when you're done with the wires and the pipes and so forth for gas and electric, we're going to put new sidewalks in and a new street. Is that the plan?
That's why from my understanding, that's why I'm performing the work, is because the city has a plan in the next year or so to redo the entire street, the roadway, and the sidewalks, from my
So
understanding.
that's a different phase. You're all done when the electrical portion is done, right?
When the gas portion is done, yes. Sure, I know the city has some water work, sewer work, it's probably
And
some other
water, sewer,
utilities.
yeah.
We try to be the first in because that is usually how we perform the work.
And the street's going to be widened, is that what you said a few meetings ago? It's going, or the engineer did. The street will be a little wider in certain spots.
I can't speak on the behalf of the
I
city's
think that's
plans.
what I heard. That's a different department. Well, I want to thank you very much, and if I may, Mr. President, I did briefly talk to Mr. Cameron about a serious matter on the Parkway. He said he's bringing it up Thursday, is that what you said?
Yeah, we're meeting with the DCR. This is on some street lighting issues on.
Okay, so that is number 1 on your priority?
It is.
It's very dark and unsafe on Revere Beach Parkway. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your assistance too, Councilor. Councilor DeFlorio.
Thank you, Mr. President. I believe what Councilor Simonelli is trying to say is that we use a system in Everett which they call the reverse 911. Why can't you get the information? Where this affects, Ferry Street affects the whole city, regardless of whether you live there or not. We may not hear the noise, but some people do work at night and they have to use Ferry Street. Where it affects the whole city, I'm just wondering, and I certainly don't want to put the mayor or anybody in the spot, why you couldn't just call one person in the mayor's office and just send out a 911 call to everybody, saying we're going to be digging on Ferry Street tonight from 3 to 4. Because even if I live on the other side of the city, I'll avoid going down Ferry Street at that time. And it would make it easier for you instead of bringing all these letters to all the houses. So you would have more time to change the lights that are not working in the city. So that you'd have to get together with the mayor's office to do something like that. It would save you time to put all these, you may have to put some notices up, but I think it would save you a lot of time where everybody in the city would get this call?
Something we can certainly meet with the city and review, something we could look into for, obviously it's a little bit different, this job, this scope, much larger than our normal 1,000-footer on a side street. Something at this, at this scale, certainly something we could sit down, review, and find, if a process needs to be updated or something, we'll be more than, accommodating.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? Gentlemen, thank you very much for appearing. Appreciate it. Take care. Okay.
Thank you for having us.
Okay. On the matter, Councilor McKinnon?
I'd like to refer this back out to the city council
Okay.
and actually try to get an update at that time in writing. They don't have to come and respond back, but an update of which way we're going to go with this.
That's in our committee report, right? That's in the committee report? You got that, John? No, you're not gonna do that? Well, this got to go to the council then?
Yes.
Yes, got to go to the council. Okay, so,
The city
yeah, right.
council-
You can repeat that at the council.
That this would be put out to the city council, the next meeting of the city council, with a written response
Well, we're
back.
just going to refer it to the council.
Yes.
At the
And
council
I'll
meeting,
ask-
you can make your, right.
I'll
okay.
make my recommendation.
Motion made and second, refer the subject matter back to the city council. All in favor, signify by saying aye. All opposed, so moved. Refer it back to the council. Clerk will read item number 1.
All right. Item number 1, this is a resolution by Council
Yeah.
Rosa DeFlorio to request the mayor appear to explain the master plan for the city of Everett.
If we could please,
Councilwoman DeFlorio?
if we could please have,
Johnny, be safe.
someone from the mayor's office and, I believe, Mr. Souza.
We have Mr. Souza and someone from the mayor's office, please, before us. Okay. Is Mr. Souza in the hallway? Anyone?
Yes, I'll be back momentarily.
All right, thank you. We'll start with you, sir. If you could just state your name and title.
Kevin O'Donnell, Chief of Staff.
Thank you. Councilwoman DeFlorio.
Mr. O'Donnell, what I'm trying to do with this is, I understand that the mayor's had numerous meetings of this master plan, but unfortunately, a lot of the business people can appear at these meetings. So I wanted a quick update from the community development, Mr. Souza, to let everybody in the city understand what this master plan is all about and what it does. And the reason for that is, this is televised, so the business people can go home at 11 o'clock at night and they can watch it on the computer or on TV. So that was the reason why I had asked to come and explain what the master plan is all about. So if we could invite Mr. Souza up.
Mr. Souza, if you could come before us as well. Just say, state your name and title, please.
Good evening. Tony Sousa, Director of Planning Development.
Thank you.
Mr. Souza, in regards to the master plan, like I was telling Mr. O'Donnell, the reason why I had put this on is so that people understand what the master plan is. And I know you've had numerous meetings in regards to the master plan, but unfortunately, a lot of people that are busy working, especially the business people, they can't leave their business to come and check out the master, to come to these meetings.
Sure.
So by doing this, this is televised, and they can always go on the computer and look it up at their free time. The question I have is, in the master plan, is there any plan at all for Everett Square, Norwood Street? Is that in the master plan?
Yes, there is. So right now, we're working on what's called the Everett Square redesign plan, Everett Square master plan, which does include Norwood Street as well. You may recall, we received the funding from this council.
This is on.
Maybe about a year or two. I'm sorry.
Is it on?
Yeah, it's on.
Okay.
Yes, it's on.
My
Thank you.
apologies. So to answer your question, the Everett Square is on a master plan. We are actually doing a redesign of the Everett Square, which also includes Norwood Street as well. And generally speaking, from the vicinity of the old Everett High School to the Whittier School general area, and a little further out as well to our armory and also the businesses on Norwood Street. The work that's underway is actually being funded thanks to this council, I believe about a year or two ago, that put an appropriation in there to do a redesign plan for Everett Square. Now, we call redesign plan a master plan, a neighborhood plan. You can call it many different things. But with respect to the Everett Square plan itself, we retained a firm called Utile. They are a planning architectural firm based out of Boston, and they started work in January and expect to be completed sometime in September or so, more or less. Currently where they are, and I appreciate you having this on the agenda because there will be much more to come as well in terms of public outreach, but they are in the process. They've been collecting data, sort of the behind-the-scenes stuff in planning in a document like this. They're also working with our Regional Planning Council on some data that they may have also. They've begun a public outreach component where they've surveyed over 200 individuals and approximately about 40 businesses in the general Everett Square area. Interesting, when they did the survey with the individuals, it was on the day of the primary, which I thought was clever. We had a good turnout of folks, and these were folks from Utile, some folks from my office as well, and also from MAPC. Currently, they're in the process of taking all that information, basic survey, basic questionnaires, sort of, what do you like about Everett Square, what are the challenges, why do you come here? And basically, they're taking that information and putting it together to basically to assess and to get general feedback from the residents, the respondents. They're also in the process of doing site visits around Everett Square, taking an inventory of the existing buildings, our roadways, our sidewalks, and other infrastructure. And they're also in the process of reviewing our zoning ordinance, building code elements. I know, and Council, I apologize, I don't recall, it's been a while, but for example, I think there was an order here on the council with respect to second and third story developments.
Yes.
And how to promote more housing, for example. More housing, market rate, affordable housing, different types. Couple that, the Everett Square redesign plan with the work in the housing production plan. Taking the Everett Square redesign plan, and MAPC is doing a parking study as well for the city, so compiling that information. Likewise, as I mentioned, our housing production plan, and even possibly our open space plan too. How to create more, or how to enhance Everett Square. Some nuts and bolts, of course, in zoning, how to improve that zoning to allow for mixed use. To create that sort of vibrancy, looking at things such as streetscape improvements, more so than just landscaping and flowers and trees, but also to create that scene with outdoor seating, perhaps. Perhaps it's looking at Norwood Street and maybe on weekends, or I don't want to make commitments, but that's where we're in the planning process, but look at how to create some more activity there as well, or to enhance the activity that's already there. And really to listen, not only what happens Monday through Friday, but also on the weekends, not only what happens from 8 to 5 with the businesses there, but also in the evening, different folks, different users. So in the coming weeks, there's a lot of work to be done. In the coming weeks, we will be reaching out to this council, to each of you to get your input, and we will be reaching out to other stakeholders in the community as well, and there will be a public forum. So right now we're in early April. In the coming weeks, sometime certainly before the summer, before everyone leaves, if you will, end of April, May or so, do a open session of some sort. And then they'll continue to work on in the summer, and then in the fall, we do a final presentation, maybe do some tweaks, get some more, maybe some more thoughts, recommendations. So it's a comprehensive process that's currently underway, and kind of taking it 1 week at a time. But I'm very pleased with the work and the collaboration, not only again with the council, but certainly with all the city departments here. What I enjoy about this type of work and these type of plans is to see how they interconnect with the other good stuff that we're doing in the city.
My other question is that, obviously, everything you spoke about is what we're looking for: parking garages, pedestrian friendly, okay?
Yes.
Making Norwood Street more pedestrian friendly. And as far as one of the councils that have brought up apartments above the stores, but we also need some kind of funding, because if I'm a landlord and I have a store there and I live in Newton, I could care less about apartments on top of the store. You're gonna give me an incentive to have me fix my storefront and bring the apartments upstairs. It doesn't mean that because I don't care. I don't care about the rent. I don't want the headaches, so I don't want apartments upstairs. So do you have any type of funding where we could give an incentive to say, listen, if you do this, we'll give you a 1% loan, for example?
Sure. Sure, and thank you for that question. A few things. The natural, the typical response is, well, we could look at community development block grant funding. Potentially, we could look at MassWorks, well and good. But we've asked this team also to look at what other communities are doing, not only in Massachusetts, but throughout. And they've done work throughout the region and country, of other different funding mechanisms, make creative ways to, maybe it's grants, maybe it's loans, maybe it's a combination. Perhaps it's teaming up with the local banks to talk about microloans. I think Councilor Napolitano and I had a conversation about that not too long ago. But also incentives. Incentives don't necessarily have to be financial. They can be on, maybe it's relative to parking, maybe it's relative to the use at the second or third level. The point is to be creative. And we certainly have a creative group, and I certainly, this community, and certainly with the mayor's leadership in this council, I think we like to think out of the box, and certainly my department does as well. And we'll look at different things. I do recall you talked about a facade improvement program, I guess sign and awning program. We do have some elements of that in place today. Some challenges with for example, the facade program is, especially if you're using federal funds, you have to pay, or state funds, local funds, you have to pay prevailing wages. And that can be burdensome, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't do it. We should look at other ways to try to finance. We're not alone. We're not the only community that's embarked in these sort of things. Also, in the plan itself, it's important. There's a ton of things out there, whether it be looking at design elements, things to improve infrastructure-wise, and also funding strategies. So I've asked them to look, and this is very typical, give us your short-term, the low-hanging fruit, things that we could do with funding next week, tomorrow. Give us a medium-term, and give us some long-term stuff. Look at transportation elements. Look at open space. Give us some recommendations, some guidance on our sign and awning program, perhaps, and our facade and so on. So I think at the end of the day, it will be a thoughtful document, and I want a product that's going to be creative, because I think we deserve that.
When you come up with something like this, is it possible, before you call for a meeting, to send us the package at home so we have time to look at it, instead of giving it to us the night of the meeting? Because that just prolongs things. It's very difficult to have something the night of the meeting, and where we have to give you questions up front. I would rather have it 2 weeks before, so I could look at it, I could absorb it, and then come up
I
with.
agree. I absolutely will certainly try to get that as much in advance. Certainly happens to me as well.
I understand.
And
the other,
I totally understand.
The other thing I'd like to see is, just recommend is to have some ward meetings to tell people what's going on, what we're doing, what we
That's
plan on doing. Because even
great
though
idea.
people don't live in Everett Square, they might use Everett Square. They may have an opinion. They may have something that's good for us to hear. So, years ago, we started having ward meetings, and all of a sudden, they really stopped. So I understand now it's hard, because during the summer, people do go away. But let people know by ward, send notices out there, having ward meetings, and let them know what's going on and what our plans are.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for appearing. Appreciate it.
Are you all set, Councilwoman?
I'm all set, thank you.
Is there any other questions? Councilman Matusky.
Thank you, Mr. President. We brought this up. There's a couple of buildings, main buildings in Everett Square. Now, I don't want to, they pay their taxes, and I'm referring to the two brick buildings on the corner of Norwood Street. They pay their taxes, and, they do have some tenants in there, but the second floor, I don't know what goes on above. I refer it, I don't know the name of the restaurant there now, but one is a Mexican type of thing, Latino. But the place on the second floor, I don't know. The guy doesn't seem to want to rent it out. It's got beautiful windows. It's a beautiful brick building. Now, so, I'm just saying, and the other building is a monster building. It's, I don't know. I've been up there years ago. I brought that up. It used to be American Legion. Okay, and they don't have an elevator, but, they do have a restaurant on the first floor, maybe a jewelry store type of thing. But, and I don't know how old the building is, but there's never been any improvement to that building in the years that I've been alive. They don't even put a wreath in the window at Christmas. You don't see an American flag at the 4th of July. You don't see, there's no incentive from the property. And, you know, they pay their taxes. That's all they have to do, right? But they've, I want you to reach out to these people. But, you know, they haven't done anything for 40 years there. But that's just my feeling on it. You know, I believe like the other buildings opposite that, they just painted their buildings. The Sachetta building's all been painted. At least they're trying. The other building where the Square Drug is there, they painted their building. Everybody, you know, people are trying to improve their property. But these other two buildings, they haven't done anything. I've been up here 35 years. And, you know, I can almost say that my entire life, I've never seen any improvements up there. But, you know, they need to get a wake-up call. I don't know what you're going to do, give them a reward for not doing anything for 40 years or this type of thing. But I don't know what you can do with that building, if you can make apartments with it or whatever. But, you know, my idea, just an idea. If you're not going to do anything with it, maybe you could tear it down and put a nice green area there, you know, the bigger one, the slate roof. Years ago, the ice used to fall off of that. And you have to rope off the sidewalk, you know, with the slate roof and so forth. And the other question I have is, I don't know if I referred it to you or the mayor's office, the parking lot between, you say this is going all the way down to the Whittier School, this plan?
Yes.
So this is in that area.
Correct.
There's a municipal parking lot between Broadway and School Street that holds about 30, 40 cars, I'm not exactly sure.
Mm-hmm.
But there is no, I mean, it's a city-owned property, right? Am I correct? That's a city-owned
If it's
parking
the
lot.
one you're talking about, it is.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
I'm thinking about
Well,
it.
the landscaping is nil. There's a couple of weeds there. There's been no cleanup of that property. There's a fence that should be there that was promised to be put there. Do you recall getting that referred to you?
I've had a few items referred, I apologize, but I do remember the gist of.
And Mr. O'Donnell, I just refer this to the mayor's office, but, you know, what's happening here is with that parking lot is people are parking in the other person's property, and they're reaching over, they think the meters are in that parking lot. And it's just not the case. And they're getting towed. And they say that, well, I put money on the meter, but you're in the wrong parking lot. There's supposed to be a fence there that, you know, needs to, you know, I'd like to see that little lot cleaned up. Because, you know, there's a lot of foot traffic, and that's at the beginning of our commercial area.
Sure.
But, you know, my idea is, you know, these people haven't done anything with these buildings. And, you know, you hear about eminent domain and all this here. Everett is on its way, and if these people don't have any incentive, it's those two buildings I was referring to. And they're not, the one on the left is a beautiful building with the long windows. It's a nice-looking building. And there's a 300-car parking lot. Why they don't rent it, I have no clue. But that's just my feelings on this. But I agree with the councilwoman, revitalization of Everett Square, along with our casino, and all the good things that'll be happening, very important.
No, certainly.
Any other questions? Mr. O'Donnell, do you have anything?
Oh, I was going to answer the Councilman Matusky's concern. We'll have the appropriate conversation with respect to the parking lot, the municipal parking lot. This is the first I'm hearing about it, but, you know, certainly we'll address it.
Excuse the customary thanks.
Thank you.
Your pleasure on the piece?
Refer it out to the council with a recommendation to refer back to sponsor.
Refer it out to the council with a recommendation, refer back to sponsor. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn. All those in favor? All those opposed? You have adjourned.